Howdy, everyone. It's Reese, aka Bearman Prime, on this November 12th. Welcome back to my Read the Bible in a Year series. Thank you again for joining me. God bless you all. Card in the top right hand corner for the rest of the playlist. And please hit the like button, subscribe button, and notification bell. I really do appreciate it. All right, so yesterday we ended with Paul under arrest by the Roman military in Jerusalem. He tried to appeal to the Jewish mob that had gathered there, trying to reason with them, tell them what he was doing, who he is, but they were not having any of it. And then before the Romans could go further with their interrogation, Paul reminds them that, can you do this to a Roman citizen without due cause? And now they're backing off a little bit. So now we're going to move on ahead and we're going to see Paul address not the Jewish mob outside, but now he's going to go to the top, to the Jewish leaders, the high council. So let's go back to Acts 22 and start in verse 30. The next day, the commander decided to learn why the Jews were accusing Paul. So he ordered the leading priests and the whole high council to meet together. He had Paul's chains taken off and had him brought in to face the council. Chapter 23, verse 1. Paul looked at the council members and said, "Brothers, I have lived my life in a good way before God. I have always done what I thought was right." Ananias the high priest was there. When he heard this, he told the men who were standing near Paul to hit him in the mouth. Paul said to Ananias, "God will hit you too. You are like a dirty wall that has been painted white. You sit there and judge me using the law of Moses, but you are telling them to hit me, and that is against the law." The men standing near Paul said to him, "Are you sure you want to insult God's high priest like that?" Paul said, "Brothers, I did not know this man was the high priest. The scriptures say, you must not say bad things about a leader of your people." Paul knew that some of the men in the council meeting were Sadducees and some were Pharisees. So he shouted, "My brothers, I am a Pharisee, and my father was a Pharisee. I am on trial here because I believe that people will rise from death." When Paul said this, a big argument started between the Pharisees and the Sadducees. The group was divided. The Sadducees believe that after people die, they will not live again as an angel or a spirit. But the Pharisees believe in both. All these Jews began shouting louder and louder. Some of the teachers of the law, who were Pharisees, stood up and argued, "We find nothing wrong with this man. Maybe an angel or a spirit really did speak to him." The argument turned into a fight, and the commander was afraid that the Jews would tear Paul to pieces. So he told the soldiers to go down and take Paul away from these Jews and put him in the army building. The next night, the Lord Jesus came and stood by Paul. He said, "Be brave. You have told people in Jerusalem about me. You must do the same in Rome." Verse 12. The next morning, some of the Jews made a plan to kill Paul. They made a promise to themselves that they would not eat or drink anything until they had killed him. There were more than 40 of them who made this plan. They went and talked to the leading priests and the older Jewish leaders. They said, "We have promised ourselves that we will not eat or drink until we have killed Paul. So this is what we want you to do. Send a message to the commander from you and the high council. Tell him you want him to bring Paul out to you. Say that you want to ask him more questions. We will be waiting to kill him while he is on the way here." But Paul's nephew heard about this plan. He went to the army building and told Paul. Then Paul called one of the army officers and said to him, "Take this young man to the commander. He has a message for him." So the army officer brought Paul's nephew to the commander. The officer said, "The prisoner Paul asked me to bring this young man to you. He has something to tell you." The commander led the young man to a place where they could be alone. The commander asked, "What do you want to tell me?" The young man said, "Some Jews have decided to ask you to bring Paul down to their council meeting tomorrow. They want you to think that they plan to ask Paul more questions. But don't believe them. More than 40 of them are hiding and waiting to kill him. They have all promised not to eat or drink until they have killed him. Now they are waiting for you to say yes." The commander sent the young man away, telling him, "Don't tell anyone that you have told me about their plan." All right, and that's where we're going to end it today. So, we start with the commander still trying to get answers. He stopped himself and his men from beating Paul, but he still needs answers. Why are the Jews so intent on killing this man, so riled up that they would riot and mob? So he brings him to their leaders, to the Sanhedrin, the High Council. And Paul begins to address him. He says, "Hey, I've lived my life in a good way before God. I did what I thought was right, no matter what the situation was." And then the high priest Ananias, not the same Ananias way back that healed Paul. This is a different Ananias, so don't get tricked, okay? And he orders Paul to be hit in the mouth, for speaking lies. And once again, someone's pointed out the hypocrisy of the Jews. It was Jesus first, and then it was Peter, and now we got Paul doing it. You're like a dirty wall that has been painted white. You sit there and judge me using the law of Moses. But then he says it's against the law for telling them to hit me, right? and the guys next to him are like, "Are you sure you want to say that? This is the high priest you're talking to here, man." And then Paul, maybe he did this on purpose. I'm sure he did. I'm sure he decided to, to turn a phrase, throw a turd grenade in the punch bowl, where he said, "I am a Pharisee. My father was a Pharisee. I'm on trial here because I believe that people will rise from death." And then the Sadducees and the Pharisees start butting heads with each other. And it gets so bad that they're about to come to blows. They're about to fight, right? And the commander's like, "Okay, this is getting out of hand. Get him out of here." So they yank him and take him back to the barracks or wherever. And then Jesus gives Paul not only some encouragement, but also his next step. "You've done well to tell people about me here in Jerusalem, but now you need to go do the same thing in Rome," right? The capital of the Roman Empire, far, far away in Italy. Okay, that's a long journey, but Jesus tells him, "You have to be the one to go and tell people about me there." And that's a really big step. Okay, so I've told you before, if Paul doesn't get to Rome, Christianity does not exist here in the Western world at all. It's because of that we have Christianity today. And then we see a plot to kill Paul. These 40 men have made this pact, and they're very serious about it. They're fasting food and drink. They will not take any of it until they have killed Paul. And they set this up, but thankfully Paul's nephew hears about it, and he brings it to the commander, and the commander tells him, "All right, you did good. Don't tell anyone you know. We'll take care of it." So we'll see what happens there tomorrow. That's all for today. We'll pick it up there. Thank you again for joining me. I sure do appreciate it. I'll see y'all tomorrow.